first season of the Blancpain GT Series Asia is about to come to an end because we are ready to go racing here at Zhejiang. Good morning, welcome to a wet and soggy circuit. David Addison trackside as we get ready to crown champions in GT3, GT4 and then also in the AM competition within GT3 as well. Pro-Am already won by Hunter Rabbit, teams won by Gruppe M, but there's still a lot on the line. An hour of racing at a new circuit, opened only this season. Initially, this track was the idea for just manufacturer and corporate days, but there's been so much interest in the new venue that it has had public race meetings. Asian Le Mans has been here, TCR has been here, and now the Blancpain GT Series Asia is set to finish its first season of competition. Who knew when it was launched at the back end of last season just how successful it would become? We've had huge grids over the course of the season, a real spread of winners, great variety in terms of drivers, teams and cars on track, and now it all comes down to the wire. You can see the grid forming. The pit lane remains open for 5 extra minutes, incidentally, to give the teams chance to do more laps through the pit lane and then round onto the grid. It will be a safety car start given that it's a wet track. It is not standing water, but it's just been persistent rain all through the evening, all morning. And so thankfully the track is draining pretty well, but that doesn't allow for the fact that it is wet and the pit lane is a bit puddly as well for the teams to cope with during the pit stops. The Mercedes AMG safety car at the front of the field will be busy, certainly to begin with. It will, as I say, control the start, and then we'll probably, like yesterday, have a couple of laps behind it, and it may well be needed in the race as well. We have lost one car from the entry. It is the sole Ferrari. Zhejiang crashed early in yesterday's race, and that car can't be made good, sadly. So the spirit of race, the AF Corsa run Ferrari, is a non-starter. We do, though, have still a very busy grid indeed, with GT3 and GT4 ready to go racing. 21 cars we have for this final round of the championship, and the way that it stands coming into this last race, Marchi Lee and Sean Tong are the championship leaders in GT3, 1 point ahead of Hunter Abbott, who in turn is 14 ahead of Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel. Yesterday's race was won by Aditya Patel and Mitch Gilbert. They did a great job in very challenging conditions, and it is the OD Racing Audi which will start on pole position. Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel's car. They've had 2 race wins this year. They're third in the championship with work to do and an extra 10 seconds in the pits after yesterday's win. Let's hear from the drivers with Renai Matu.
Look, I'm standing here with Aditya Patel, Mitch Gilbert in the car today. Now, we've seen some incredible drives from you this season. This is the last race. What is the game plan?
We're starting on pole. Is pretty much the best place we can be. So our only plan is to try and build a gap in Mitch's stint before he hands it over to me, because we've got the 10-second pit stop penalty. So, I mean, the conditions are really bad. We have no idea what's going to happen, but we'll do our best. That's our game plan. And in the end, we just see how it goes.
Okay, all the best today. Thank you very much.
Well, yesterday, Aditya Patel had to do the first stint, didn't put a wheel wrong in conditions that actually weren't as bad as now. There was a thought even during yesterday's race that it was drying out sufficiently that slicks might be an option at the pit window. It didn't happen that way, and then the rain came back with a vengeance late on, and it's pretty similar now to what we had at the back end of yesterday. So it is another step into the unknown for the drivers. Yesterday's race was, as you've come to expect in Blancpain GT Series Asia, a very lively one. It was another win for Audi. It was a second win for Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel. Let's just have a look at how they scored win number 2 in yesterday's race. So as the race blasted away, it was Christopher Dryspring who led with, tucked up behind him, Aditya Patel, and then Aidan Reid, quick starting Lamborghini, running third. It had been 2 laps behind the safety car because of the wet nature of the conditions, but when we went racing, it didn't last very long, because coming up to the green flag, this accident took out of the race the lone Ferrari of Zhejiang. So the safety car was deployed once again and everybody bunched up. Take 2, Tim Sugden ran a little bit wide, and that enabled Marchi Lee to come through. Crucial as he tried to get up with the 999 Mercedes for the championship. Aditya Patel pulled off a really good move against Christopher Dryspring to go for the race lead, while Frank Yu got ahead of GT4 as all the Porsche Caymans were trading paints and swapping places. But the pit window opened. Lott came in early to get driver 1 out, the quicker second driver in. at roughly the halfway point. Aditya Patel, who'd not put a wheel wrong, came in to give way to Mitch Gilbert. The OD racing car being able to rejoin in the lead, despite the best efforts of Phoenix, who brought in Marchi Lee, put Sean Tong behind the wheel, and that car rejoined significantly ahead of championship rival Mercedes, number 999. Maxi Book got ahead though. That gave the team's championship to Group M, and it also meant that Hunter Abbott is closer to the Audi drivers within the championship. There was no stopping the 86 Audi though. Mitch Gilbert drove away. There's a great move here by Martin Rump, put him around the outside of Sandy Stubik, and he gained the place with Alessio Picariello being able to follow through as the car's concertinaed coming into turn 8. That delayed the Lamborghini enough to let Picariello have the pick of the lines. He went for the outside, and that became the inside as the road switched across. He gunned it on a wet part of the road, and the drive out of the corner was sensational. Through he went. A snaking Sandy Stuvik dropped back, and then Picariello made his move against Martin Rump. He went through, diving down towards turn 1. The lead gap, though, was hovering around the 5-second mark as up towards the checkered flag came Mitch Gilbert to score victory in round 11 of Blancpain GT Series Asia. So that's how the race panned out yesterday. And now on a much wetter road, the grid is formed, and the final round of the championship is about to get underway. It's been a fascinating season, and we've had some of the European teams and drivers come across, taking on the best from Asia, people defecting from other championships, people new to GT racing have come in as well. And so we're looking forward to this championship showdown. Hunter Abbott is, of course, a man who could win it. He's already the Pro-Am champion. Hunter Abbott goes into this race 1 point behind Marchi Lee and Sean Tong. He's had different co-drivers over the course of the season. And Hunter Abbott, moving from British GT through British touring cars into Blancpain GT Series Asia this season, could end the day as the overall champion. Let's hear from him on the grid with Renai.
Really excited to be talking to Hunter Abbott. This is the final race of the season and all to play for you guys.
Absolutely. There's 3 of us now all for the championship. It's wide open, the 25 points for a win. So it'll be interesting.
It really could be anyone's. And the weather, I mean, look at it. It's bucketing down right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like home, actually. So, yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's very, very wet. I think there's going to be a few issues with aquaplaning around the circuit at various points. But it is what it is, same for everybody.
What is the game plan for you two today?
Forward.
Forward it is. Thank you very much for talking to us.
So Hunter Abbott then, ready to get on board in the car, and he will do the stint, which will be the second stint in the race. Therefore, Maxi Book starts. Hunter Abbott will take over. Track conditions might be better, might be worse. By the time he has to get on board, we will wait and see. But Hunter, who's had a great season in the Blancpain GT Series Asia, could, as I say, be champion. Just looking down onto the grid, I thought that we had a gap. We do. Darrell O'Young's Porsche is not in its grid box. Now, that might be because he has missed the pit lane closing window, but there's definitely a gap. I don't think the car had any problems in yesterday's race. It wasn't all that rapid come the end. It was only down in, I think, 12th place come the end of the race yesterday. It was the Darrell O'Young Peter Lee Porsche, but it's not on the grid. And I was pretty sure I'd seen it go out on the installation lap. So there is one gap, and if it does start, it'll start, of course, therefore, from the pit lane and have to join in at the back, which might be a good idea, because in doing that, it puts you behind any potential incidents at the very start. But the flip side of the coin, as you see how wet the circuit is becoming, is that you've got more cars to try and get through. So it could be a double-edged sword for the team. But as I say, it could even be a problem for Craft Bamboo Racing. We'll try and get to the bottom of that. But that's the one gap on the grid. So we will very shortly have the cars through the countdown procedure, and at the 1 minute board, engines will fire up. Everybody runs on Pirelli tyres, and everybody runs on a Pirelli wet for the purposes of this race, of course. It is a very slippery track indeed, and very shortly, as I say, the cars are going to be released. Number 99 Porsche, we understand, is not going to start, having suffered some bodywork damage on its way from the pit lane. It's either hit somebody or something, and has therefore been declared a non-starter. So drama right in the build-up to the race. The 99 Porsche that won, remember, the second race in Shanghai, missing from the grid because of bodywork damage. So we've just had that news break from the timekeeping team, who've been notified by the team that the car's not going to be in. So that Porsche, sad to say, missing from the grid. It goes to show, doesn't it, just how treacherous the track is. If even at low speed, you can have a drama heading to the grid itself. So the fields loses one car, disappointingly. GT4 we haven't talked on yet, and that is also very important because we've got the championship to be resolved there. It's not quite as tight in as much as really all Frank Yu and Jean-Marc Merlin have to do is finish. They are 23 points up on Kyo Chang, and it's 25 for a win, so as long as that car gets to the end, they're good. But really, Kyo Chang would need to win, and Jean-Marc Merlin, Frank Yu's Craft Bamboo racing car, not to finish for them to have any realistic chance in all of this. But you never know, as we've just discovered, cars are even failing to get round to the grid. So you never know what might happen in an hour of racing. And it will be 2 laps behind that safety car before the pack is released. Having talked about GT4 then, Jean-Marc Merlin will go first in number 77. 5 wins they've had this year, and Frank Yu will do the second stint, and Frank Yu's car starts on the 9th row. Let's hear from him as we go back to the grid and join Renai.
Very excited to be talking to Frank Yu in the GT4 class today. What is your game plan?
Today we got no pressure whatsoever, except to finish the race. So just to get the 2 points. So we're going to take it easy and finish the race.
Is that going to be difficult considering the conditions? It's bucketing.
Yeah, it's the weather is very difficult, especially in the back straight. There's quite a few puddles there. So we're just going to take it easy. No battles whatsoever.
No pressure, no battles. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So there is the scene on the grid. Very busy at the moment. Lots of people, lots of umbrellas, and the grid girls getting ever more bedraggled. Shortly the grid is going to clear, and we will be in business then for this final round of the championship. This circuit, which, as I say, is newly opened this year at Zhejiang. 16 turns, 3.2 kilometres long. It's an FIA Grade 2 circuit. We have, of course, the mandatory pit window between 25 and 35 minutes. And it is a 95-second pit stop plus the 10, the 7 and the 5 you get for being 1, 2 and 3 in the previous race. So the pole-sitting car that won yesterday gets 10 seconds. And that's going to be another handicap, of course, in their bid to win the championship, because no matter what work you do, you then lose 10 seconds of it in the pit lane. The grid is now starting to clear. There's number 999 then, Hunter Abbott. He's been the hunted for much of the season. Now he very much is the hunter as he and Maxi Book try to bring down the gap in the championship and get ahead. We have 3 race wins for Hunter Abbott. And the drivers now get themselves dialed in for their first proper opportunity to explore the circuit with lots of cars around them. Spray is going to be as big a factor as the traction here. So, just to remind you, as you look at number 7 over Alessio Piccirillo, we've got GT3 to sort out, we've got GT4 to sort out. Craft Bamboo Racing has pretty much sewn up the GT4 teams. Group RM has done GT3 teams. We've got the circuit, as you can see, with these 3 sectors, lots of elevation change. We've got the tight hairpin at turn 13, and it's a great lap, one the drivers are all enjoying. So that, as the grid empties, is the scene down the pit straight. You've got the pit lane on the outside of the track. Pole position there is the red and black Audi, Mitch Gilbert at the wheel. It's an anti-clockwise circuit, one of the few. And Martin Rump lining up alongside in the number 18, the ultra-smart Federal Mogul, the champion-backed Audi. Martin Rump also doing the Chinese GT races that are part of the programme here this weekend. So he's, although for different teams, driving the same sort of car twice a day. So he's doing a bit more mileage than many others, getting his hand in. And we've not really seen the best of Martin Rump this year, sadly, because on occasions the car has failed to start, on occasions the car has failed to finish, but he, in his own right, is a very accomplished driver indeed. The best that he's had this year in the championship has been a 5th in Thailand. But I reckon Martin Rump could be a dark horse to lead the opening stint of this. Number 13 there is the Frankie Cheng driven Audi that had its best result of the season yesterday. Frankie Cheng goes first. He shares with Jingzhu Jun. They were 6th yesterday, helped in part by the lengthy safety car period in the first stint, which normally is reserved for the slower or the AM driver, and it therefore meant that there were fewer racing laps in which they could fall away, and that gave Frankie Cheng a better chance come the second stint. So now it is all gloves off. The outsider is 86 Audi. Mitch Gilbert starts. It is 1 point between number 5 Audi and the car that starts 1 row ahead of it, 999 Mercedes. There are quite a few other Audis, not only from the Phoenix team, but from other squads as well, that might be able to help number 5. There's only one other Mercedes that can do anything to assist Hunter Abbott, and that starts directly behind as well. It is 888 Jules Simkowiak and Tim Sugden's car. Simkowiak will start. So they'll be thinking about the points. They'll be thinking about how they can take points away from number 5. 888 fundamentally has got to stay ahead of number 5, and 999 has got to stay ahead of both of them. 1 point is all that separates them. A win is 25. Second is 18. Then the gaps start to narrow. 3 point difference between second and third, and it's 2 points when you get down to 4th to 5th, and it's a 1 point gap 9th to 10th. We'll work out the computations as we go along. We know how the scores will be no matter who finishes where in the top 10 for points, so we can keep an eye on the championship as we go through the hour. We also need, of course, to keep an eye on the race in isolation, because that's going to be lively. The officials then sheltering on the starting gantry. In a moment we'll switch the lights to green and the safety car start will be underway. It is underway now. So the race is on. All of this counts within the hour, and as soon as the drivers get the signal, they will be released now. So we have the race underway, and nobody has yet been given the instruction to move. The safety car has left. The race effectively is on, and now a green flag is shown to release the car. So what they get is the opportunity to catch up to the safety car and therefore go at a reasonable pace to try and get a bit of warmth into tyres, but also to have a look at, again, a reasonable pace at where the puddles might be, where the standing water might be. You can't overtake. You've got to be in grid formation at this point. There is the Mercedes-AMG safety car. Now you can start to see where the puddles are. We're not talking torrential standing water here, but we are looking at a few puddles around the circuit. It's a great track, this. Lots of elevation change, designed by the British track designer Clive Bowen, who was the man behind the excellent Dubai Autodrome and many others. And he's done another ripper job on this because it's got some tight bits, some fast bits, lots of elevation change. The turn 10, 11, 12 sequence that we'll get to in a moment, one or two people have likened to a softer version of the Dipper at Bathurst, the way it sort of drops down over the brow. And it's one the drivers have all enjoyed the challenge of this weekend thus far. There's the medical car at the back. And so, just to remind you, we've lost Darrell O'Young's Porsche, but we still have 21 cars good to go racing in this final round of the championship then. So they will turn their way now through, that's the hairpin at turn 13. Road starts to come downhill. On the right-hand side now, you've got the corporate buildings and the kart track. There's the kink at turn 15, and then the final left-hander is turn 16. This is probably the fastest part of the circuit, actually, but in these conditions, the drivers are going to have to be oh so careful. So it's a 1 hour race. The pit window remains, even though we have this safety car start between 25 and 35 minutes. That doesn't move. And as the drivers then paddle their way down to turn 16, the first lap of the race effectively now done. So Mitch Gilbert leads the way. There is Martin Rump in second place. Alessio Picariello third, looking very Audi this. Frankie Chain fourth. And then fifth, of course, is Maxi Buch in the number 999 Mercedes. And that's what he needs to do. Stay ahead of the number 5 Audi, which will have at the wheel of it for the first stint Sean Tong. Now also, of course, he's got between him Alex Young and Jules Simkowiak, because starting 5th is Buch, and starting from 8th on the grid is Sean Tong. Now, getting ahead of ourselves, if things stayed as they were, with 999 finishing in 5th, they'd have 159 points. If number 5 were 8th, it would have 154, so that would be the Mercedes to win. But if Mitch Gilbert won, and the other two stayed where they are, he would be the champion by 1 point. So the fascination begins to see who can rise up the order when we go racing, because as you see, 2 of them have got to make progress from that grid position. Of course, for 86, they need to try and build up a gap early on, because they're going to lose 10 seconds in the pits, and straight away Mitch Gilbert's ability to do that is affected by fewer racing laps. So he's going to have to go like smoke when we do go racing, and we will do so at the end of this lap. I'm still moderately fearful that we won't have seen the last of the safety car, though, given these conditions. So let's wait and see as they come then now over the brow. And we've got one car, in fact, in GT4 that's just run off the road down at turn 6, I can see out of the window, just to prove how treacherous the conditions are. So that was the Jeremy Wang Porsche that's just understeered out a little bit wide. However, we're good to go racing. through they turn. The grid then, currently the race order. Mitch Gilbert leading from Martin Rump, Alessio Picariello and Frankie Cheng. Maxi Buch is 5th, Alex Young 6th, 7th Joachim Kowiak, 8th Sean Tong, 9th Sandy Stuvik, 10th it is Andre Heimgartner, currently running 2nd in Carrera Cup Australia. And now the speed quickens as the drivers accelerate down towards turn 16. We're peering through the rain on the camera lens, drivers peering through the spray as well. Who would want to be sitting in the middle of the pack right now? The only person with decent visibility is the race leader, Mitch Gilbert, but Martin Rump looks staying with him as they come over the timing line to go green down towards turn 1, which has proved to be very treacherous in the wet conditions over the weekend thus far. Mitch Gilbert's the pioneer. He's got to find the grip levels, and he goes deep into turn 1. Martin Rump gets the chance to challenge up the inside, and he's gone by. Gilbert straight away loses the lead. Rump leads them. 2nd is Gilbert, trying to hang on ahead of Picariello. Frankie Cheng is 4th as they go uphill for the first time over the brow at turn 3. And now, with the rain getting heavier, the spray hanging in the air, they're tiptoeing round as best they can, but Mitch Gilbert then has lost the advantage straight away. That effectively cost him 7 points if he's got to try and get back ahead of Martin Rump. But now, Martin, the Estonian, who's got lots of experience of racing in China, is doing his level best to get away, and he is pulling clear because he's got the visibility now as they accelerate through turn 7 for the first time. It is 2nd, Mitch Gilbert, 3rd is Picariello, 4th is Frankie Cheng, 5th is Maxi Buch, 6th is Alex Young. So Maxi Buch 5th in the Mercedes with all of these Audis surrounding him. But where is Sean Tong at the moment? Because the number 5 Audi has got to try and get a bit of a wriggle on here as well and get itself into contention. Sean Tong 8th away from the start. The race leaders then come through turn 10, 11, 12 is this left-hander. You drop downhill. Short straight down to the hairpin at turn 13. And that leading gaggle getting away. Big gap has opened up, and in fact, look what is happening behind. Joachim Kowiak, who is running 7th, is acting as the cork in the bottle. Look, he has slowed the pace because allowing that first group in which the sister car remains to get away, and Joachim Kowiak has got everybody else stuck behind him, and that means that not only is Sean Tong not being able to find a way past, even if he does, there's a huge amount of real estate he's got to make up to get anywhere near this leading gaggle of cars. So 999 is away and gone at the moment. Even though it's in traffic, it's pulled clear of the championship rival car. Over the timing line they come. Race leader is Rump, 2nd is Gilbert, 3rd is Picariello, 4th is Frankie Cheng, Maxi Buch is 5th, 6th is Alex Young, and there you see for 3rd place Picariello and Cheng nose to tail, but the gap between Joachim Kowiak and the cars ahead is 4 seconds, so already that means that number 5 Audi, which is down in 12th place, Sean Tong has lost ground on that opening proper racing lap. He's got a huge amount of work to do because the championship leading car is out of the points. This is bad news for Phoenix Racing. There you can see them looking on from the pit bunker. So number 5, Sean Tong, loses not only places, but he is out of the points. I know we've still got a long way to go, 53 minutes, but bear this in mind as we go racing now on lap 4. The championship leading car out of the points, and Hunter Abbott's car with Maxi Buch at the wheel of it currently runs in 5th place. So if Hunter Abbott hangs on to 5th and 2nd, which is where Gilbert and Patel finished, that will be enough to give Hunter Abbott the title, but there's still a long way to go. Downhill they come through turn 12. It is tempting to call it the dipper as they drop down to the hairpin at the end of this short straight now. The spray still hangs in the air as Frankie Cheng now tries to not only attack Alessio Picariello, this year's Audi R8 China champion, but keep at bay Maxi Buch. Maxi, who we regularly see winning races in Blancpain events for Mercedes. That's normally for HTP, but he's fitted in nicely to Group M. Put together again in the winter months by Tim Sugden for this championship. And as we come down towards turn 16, Maxi Buch hustling on to try and get up past Frankie Cheng. Martin Rump, though, is driving away up front. Mitch Gilbert coming through in 2nd spot. There is Maxi Buch attacking Frankie Cheng. The Mercedes has the inside line going down to turn 1 as you look at the race leader, Martin Rump. Now behind, are we going to see Maxi Buch go through ahead of the blue Audi? There's a sideways Rump making his way wide through turn 3, carving the tyre tracks through the water here. There is Frankie Cheng as he lost out to Buch. He has. Maxi Buch goes through. It's another place gain, so he's up to 4th. And Sean Tong is still down in 12th place. Now, what the interest in all of this is that Buch is probably quicker than Tong anyway, whereas Marchi Lee arguably is faster than Hunter Abbott. So it might be that the Mercedes drops back and Audi 5 climbs up in the 2nd stint and they meet in the middle. It's going to be an absolutely enthralling 2nd stint. But right now, Buch is charging. Quite often, the Mercedes doesn't like greasy conditions, but it's doing a good job now. And let's have a look at a replay of the start. As they came over the line, you can see just how wet and nasty the conditions were after the couple of safety car laps. And Mitch Gilbert, the pioneer, went deep into the first corner, slithered out wide, and straight away lost the race lead to Martin Rump. Almost lost second place to Alessio Picariello as well. So Gilbert has to regroup and defend. And up front, Martin Rump getting the race lead and then breaking clear. On track, Frankie Cheng, number 13, coming under attack from Alex Young now, the former Minardi Grand Prix racer, the Malaysian, right in the wheel tracks. Out of turn 14 they come. Very, very difficult conditions for the drivers, all of this. The team's a bit heart in mouth, really, counting the car through at the end of each lap. But so far, everybody being pretty well behaved, not taking any necessary risks. There is Frankie Cheng, squirrely, a little bit under braking as he comes into turn 16. Martin Rump leads the way now, 5.5 seconds clear of Mitch Gilbert. Third is Alessio Picariello, Rump having done the fastest lap. And then you've got Maxi Bouk up into 4th place. Now, a Maxi Bouk lap is a 46.4. He's not as quick as the Audis ahead of him. Where is Sean Tong? He's got 1 place back. Sean Tong is up into 11th spot. Whoopie-doo, because it doesn't put him into the points, but at least it's progress. Number 5 under attack, though, now, because Sean Tong has got Andre Heimgartner right with him. There they are. So Sean Tong is in 11th place. Andre Heimgartner, 9th in this year's Bathurst 1000, is right there behind him in the Porsche that he shares with Devon Modell. This is the car, the surviving GT3 Craft Bamboo racing car. And a rather crossed up Andre Heimgartner coming out of turn 5, trying every which way he can to find a way up past the Audi, to no avail as yet. Behind them is the number 69 Aston Martin of Kenneth Lim that's just understeered off the road, and there up the inside goes the Porsche to take the place back from Sean Tong. So Tong is down again into 12th place and out of the points, further away from the points as well, fundamentally. So this is not a very happy start to the race for the number 5 Audi. As I say, it lost ground on the opening racing lap, and Sean Tong is struggling now to get back into the mix. Marchie Lee will know that he's got work to do, and it would be sensible for that car to come in right at the start of the pit window. In GT4, by the way, it is a class lead at the moment for number 10, being driven by Eric Lowe. And second is Ringo Chong, third is Terence Tsay, fourth, there in the background, is Jean-Marc Merlin. So that car is 4th in class. That's still enough because it's ahead of the Jeremy Wang number 17 entry, and therefore still is okay to win the championship. There's Terence Tsay, who got done yesterday for overtaking behind the safety car and then speeding in the pit lane when he served his drive-through. Jean-Marc Merlin just keeping out of trouble. The class lead, though, Eric Lowe, number 10, and 89, Ringo Chong behind him, the 2 Porsche Caymans, the GT4 Club Sports running together, and Eric Lowe maintains the advantage in GT4. In GT3, 7 seconds up the road now is Martin Rump, with Rick Yoon set to take the car over. So that's an AM, and I suspect with all due deference, Rick Yoon is going to be rather uneasy in the conditions, whereas you've got Aditya Patel behind him, and he might be a bit more confident. Now, Sean Tong back up alongside, or is that the 16? It's number 16, apologies. Melvin Moe about to be passed by Andre Heimgartner in the sister Phoenix car. That one doesn't score points, so as Heimgartner goes through into 10th place, is that going to be sacrificed to allow Sean Tong to go through as well and get further up the order? Heimgartner, though, getting better and better as the race goes on now. Drivers becoming a bit more confident with where they can push, where the grip might be. The next target for Andre Heimgartner is the number 1 Lamborghini, Alberto Di Falco, at the wheel of the car that finished second in yesterday's race. It was a great job by Aidan Reid and Alberto Di Falco yesterday, but that car now is under attack. Look, Heimgartner was caught right up in a very short space of time. I think it's a night race looking at some of the corners, but as there is the second placed Audi of Mitch Gilbert, now 7 seconds back from Martin Rump, who has done the fastest lap of the race. Down they come towards turn 16. Car number 18 over the timing line, another lap in the book, and still lapping in the 143s. Fuel load coming down. Martin Rump lapping quicker and quicker. He's 8.4 seconds ahead of Mitch Gilbert. I do fear that in the second stint, Rick Yoon's not going to have the pace of others around him, but Martin Rump aims to remind people just how good he is by leading his stint. First time we've seen him leading really this season. Maxi Bouk running 4th, still getting away from Frankie Cheng. There is Jules Shimkoviak in 8.88, keeping Sandy Stuvik behind him. And Sean Tong is still mired down in 12th place. Out of turn 4 goes than the Mercedes of Jules Kowiak. I hesitate just to see whether he's going to be able to find traction for the next corner. Yes, he is. He's safe, keeping at bay Sandy Stuvik and running to his own pace. He doesn't really have to think about bottling up Sean Tong anymore, because Tong has fallen down the field and has not yet even caught up to the Melvin Moe Audi that's going to be sacrificed anyway as a sister car. Frankie Cheng running a little bit wide there, going up through turns 8 and 9. Sometimes you find a bit more grip on the outside of the road. Frankie Cheng finding enough just to come back and defend from Alex Young, but the Malaysian driver in the black and red Phoenix car right on the tail of the KCMG entry as they come down now through turn 12. You can't overtake through that sequence. It's a permanent yellow flag zone because it's a bit tight for big GT cars, so they have to run nose to tail down to the hairpin. Is that an opportunity for Young? Not this lap, it's not. It's going to be Lappery fairly soon as well, I would have thought, because as the race leader goes through, he's got Jeremy Wang just up ahead of him. This battle, though, still rages on for 5th place. Alex Young yesterday got a drive-through penalty because he did not do the regulation pit stop time. They were just fractionally under, so the result compromised yesterday for number 6 Audi. It meant in the end of the race that they were down in 11th spot and out of the points. There in GT4, Eric Lowe keeping at bay the loquacious Ringo Chong. Great character, Ringo Chong, who's gone through lots of different co-drivers this year. Same is true, really, in the number 10 Porsche for Eric Lowe, whereas Jean-Marc Merlin and Frank Yu, who are on target to win the championship, have been together all season, being a good, consistent force. So Martin Rump in the traffic. There he is, number 18. Mighty performance this as he storms away. He's done the fastest lap. He leads by nearly 10 seconds. And number 5, Sean Tong, has been allowed ahead of the sister car of Melvin Moe now. So Melvin Moe drops back. Sean Tong goes up into 11th place, but he's still out of the points. He still has to keep on overtaking and try and haul that car into contention for Martin Lee rather in the second stint. Challenged by Alex Young at the inside. He goes through. Alex Young goes 5th ahead of Frankie Cheng then, so the Absolute Racing car loses 1 spot. Cheng tries to fight back, but Alex Young, now that he's gone through, the Castrol car should be able to extend the advantage, I would have thought, here as he powers up over the brow now. Alex Young then up into 5th spot. The race leaders currently are on lap number 9. And we're approaching the pit window. We're about 8 minutes or so away from that. For some drivers, it will be a relief, I think, to get in and hand over the car. For others, they're going to have to keep on going until the end of the window. Martin Rump, you can anticipate, as the faster driver in the leading car. He will do the maximum available to him, I would have thought, especially in the weather like this. Mitch Gilbert's marginally quicker than Aditya Patel, so he may well stay out a bit longer. Picariello is quicker than Jeffrey Lee in 3rd place. Maxi Boot quicker than Hunter Albert 4th. Frankie Cheng quicker than his co-driver. Alex Young likewise, so they'll all stay out for as long as they can in these leading places. Alex Young out of turn 16 then now, as we saw on that lap, up into 5th place. He comes over the line. So 5th he is. Next target, Maxi Boot. Past the pits now, down towards turn 1. Cheng pulls out of the spray, has a look, pulls back in again. Some rather nervous faces in the pit bunkers now, but Martin Rump still leads the way. 11 seconds clear. And how is Sean Tong getting on? He's still down in 11th place and still struggling in these conditions, it would appear. The leading Pro-Am, as well as leading overall, is Martin Rump. The leading Silver is the Gilbert Patel Audi. The leading AM combination is the Kenneth Lim James Kai Aston Martin. And we know about GT4, where it's Eric Lowe just ahead of Ringo Chong, and here they are. Ringo Chong is not that far behind either, is he? So, allowing for the fact that he's got to try and peer through all the rain and the spray, he's doing a decent job. Jules Kowiak has now been joined by Andre Heimgartner for 7th place, and they've also caught up to Frankie Cheng, so this is a good fight now, 6th, 7th, 8th together. That Porsche getting stronger as the stint wears on. It lost time early on, granted, but Andre Heimgartner now doing a very good job. He knows all about Porsches from Carrera Cup, but not necessarily a GT3 spec car. The Australian doing a very impressive job indeed as he tries to find a way up the pecking order now. There's Alex Young ahead of the blue Audi of Frankie Cheng. Heimgartner to the outside of Kowiak. The Grupper M Mercedes under real attack now as the Porsche tries to find a way through. Nose to tail they run. Heimgartner goes one side and then the other. Can't really find a way past the winged Mercedes AMG, but they've also got back markers up the road to factor in as well. Pressure on for Kowiak now, trying to hang on to 7th place. Alex Young is still under attack from the recovering Frankie Cheng. Kowiak gets up the inside of the Jeremy Wang Cayman as he comes into turn 16 and takes Heimgartner with him. Over the timing line they go now, nose to tail, Mercedes and Porsche. Szymkowiak's trying to defend. Heimgartner looks for a gap on the outside as they go down towards turn 1. He's a level with him. Can he drive all the way around the outside there? There might be a bit more grip. He might even have the inside for turn 2. No, can't get sideways off the road and back on again. Heimgartner gains the place, but that you could argue was gaining an unfair advantage. Will he give the place back, or will he try and hang on in there? He's got the inside line. He's going to stay ahead, isn't he? So Andre Heimgartner slides off the road, but it actually helps him to gain the place. Szymkowiak goes round the outside. Heimgartner does give it back then. So Andre Heimgartner gives the place back. He's got to fight all over again. We're getting a report of contact between number 5, Sean Tong, and 18, Martin Rump. I've no idea how, given how far apart they were on the grid. It can only be, surely, somebody being wrongly accused of being car number 18, because they were nowhere near each other on the grid and they've not been lapped. So how on earth they've made contact, I can't imagine. So number 5, Sean Tong, and 18, Martin Rump, allegedly have made contact. I think it might be 16 Audi that's more logical, because that's the one that's running with number 5 and they just swapped over. There, number 27, Andrew Harrianto, comes through. This is the car that's third in the AM part of the race, and sideways down at turn 1, Harrianto driving solo. He leads by 5 points in the AM Championship, and if he wins the class, he's champion. But if the Aston Martin combination wins the class, they are the champions, and they're leading it at the moment. So there is Andre Heimgartner ahead of Jules Szymkowiak now. He's got the place back again, changed for 7th, therefore, as they come over the timing line. 39 minutes to go. And remember, I was telling you that there was this investigation for 18, Martin Rump, and number 5, Sean Tong. Well, the officials have had another look at it, and it was Heimgartner and Tong contacts. So 88, not 18. Somebody couldn't read in the spray and the rain. So it was Andre Heimgartner coming past Sean Tong that's being investigated over at turn 9. So that at least clarifies that situation, gets Martin Rump and his heart rate back to normal, thinking, what on earth did I do wrong? So Heimgartner, we know, is on a mission, and he is now up into 7th place. Next target is Frankie Cheng. Sean Tong is still 11th. In other words, he's still not yet in the points. Can you believe this? There is the scene at Craft Bamboo Racing. Darrell Young having to watch on now, his car being a non-starter. Taking it on the chin, but hugely frustrated, I'm sure. Martin Rump leading by 11.2 seconds from Mitch Gilbert. The gap last time was down fractionally, but the man on the mission is still Heimgartner here in the Porsche. He will give the car over to Devon Modell, and he would like another place before his work is done for the day. Frankie Cheng is the man who is about to be monstered, isn't he? On the outside line comes Heimgartner. Again, he goes to the outside, thinking there might be a bit more grip. There isn't there really the opportunity. Plus, there was the sister GT4 Cayman in the way. But the two of them nose to tail, and absolutely now the quicker of the two cars is the Porsche. Frankie Cheng, remember, lost out early to Alex Young. Andre Heimgartner right up behind the Audi as they come towards turn 16. Of course, the problem is that to do the overtaking, you've got to go offline where it's even wetter and even more treacherous. So Heimgartner tries to force the issue. Coming out of turn 16, over the line they come. Absolutely nose to tail now. Heimgartner goes to the outside line, down towards turn 1. Is that going to be a chance for him to challenge? Yes, it is. He gets his nose in front, but he's going to run wide and off the road. Heimgartner goes straight on, takes the bypass to get back onto the track, and that means now that Frankie Cheng gets a get-out-of-jail-free card for a couple of corners. Heimgartner rejoins in 7th behind him and will play catch-up once again. 8th is Szymkowiak, 9th is Stuvik, 10th is Alberto Di Folco, and 11th still out of the points, and therefore losing the championship advantage is Sean Tong. Marchie Lee will be on his toes, ready for the pit window to open in about 2 laps' time and jump on board. Cheng has been caught again by Heimgartner, who gets the drive out of turn 6. He tries to get up alongside into 7, can't do it. The Audi just able to cut across on this increasingly wet and treacherous road. Fair play to everybody for keeping the car in a straight line in this stint, as Heimgartner again has a look up the inside there, going through turn 8, can't do it there either. Best chance now coming out of 9 before you get to the yellow flag zone. If you can't do it here, you're stuck for the next 3 corners, because this sequence, 10, 11, 12, is a permanent yellow flag zone. You can't overtake there. Heimgartner slots in behind. Now he can challenge again on the run down towards turn 13. Cheng moves to the middle of the road and defends the place. Heimgartner to the outside line. Audi versus Porsche, and again Heimgartner tries the outside line, but it doesn't work for him. This is for 6th place as the two cars come through absolutely together. Alex Young escaping up the road now because he's being able to drive his own race for a little while, not having to worry about what's going on in his mirrors. Into the braking area for turn 16 comes Alex Young. The Terence Tse Porsche getting out of the way of Frankie Cheng, and then Andre Heimgartner, so the GT4 car lets the quicker GT3 cars go through. And over the line goes 88 then. That's the car of Andre Heimgartner running in 7th place. 8th is Jules Kowiak, not really catching for the moment. And the pit window is going to open within the next minute. So for some, this could turn out to be their last lap. For some, they'll be able to bail and put the quicker co-driver on board. For others, they're going to have to carry on in the rain for a bit longer and do the hard yards for the slower co-driver. Andre Heimgartner has made a big impact on Blancpain GT Series Asia this weekend, and he's not done yet as he tries to have a go to get past Frankie Cheng. The hugely experienced Chinese driver then is under attack as the Porsche goes to the inside now, coming up towards turn 7. He's going to go through, yes. Cheng tried to turn in, found Heimgartner alongside him and turned out of it very quickly. So Andre Heimgartner goes through, up into 6th place now. Heimgartner goes by, and the next target before the stint comes to an end is Alex Young. It's a shame, isn't it, that the Porsche wasn't able to make progress earlier, because now it's absolutely flying. But to begin with, the car struggled to get through the traffic. Now, however, with the gaps opening up a little bit, Heimgartner being able to really charge. So can he do anything about Young before he has to pit? We will see. The pit window is open. He's got right onto the tail straight away of Alex Young. Devon Modell's going to be given that car for the second stint, and he will have the pressure on to deliver in the same vein that Andre Heimgartner has worked his magic here. Through they turn, out of turn 16 now. Alex Young goes over the timing line, still 5th, up to 6th, then is Heimgartner, down to 7th is Cheng, 8th is Kowiak. The pit window is open, and we've got one car in, which is Sandy Stuvik, to give way to Christopher Dryspring. So the 66 Lamborghini, the Vincenzo Sospiri racing car, is in. Another one in the background is Sean Tong. This is a crucial pit stop then. Number 5 comes in, no extra pit stop penalty. Also coming down the pit road is Terence Tse to give way to Tony Fong. But here, Sean Tong will give the car to Marchi Lee, who is ready. He's alongside it. They're at pit out, and pit out incidentally takes you underneath the circuit. The car's burst back out of the pit like coming out of an underground car park. You'll see in a moment. Into the car gets Marchi Lee. Jean-Marc Merlin, champion-elect in GT4, comes in to give way to Frank Yu. Pit window still open. Stops are cycling through now. Replay here of how Andre Heimgartner grabbed 6th away from Frankie Cheng, had the momentum coming out of turn 6, dived up the inside at 7, and Cheng had to back out of that and give him the room. Another car in the pit lane has just arrived, the number 2 Lamborghini of Yu Lin. So number 5 Audi then, which leads the championship coming into this race, cycling through its stop. Jean-Marc Merlin's day of work is done. As long as that car finishes, the championship beckons. The Craft Bamboo team cycle through the GT4 cable. Martin Rupp carries on in the lead of the race, 12 seconds, nearly 13 seconds ahead of Mitch Gilbert. Alessio Picariello's Audi runs currently in 3rd spot. Away goes Marchi Lee. Number 5 Audi then blasts back into the race. Let's see what sort of lap times he can do and what he can do to drag that car, first of all, into the points. There's the pit exit. And Marchi Lee has arrived on the tail of Maxi Book. In other words, a lap behind, but directly behind the car he's fighting for the championship. Hunter Abbott will take it over. So that shows you at the moment, given the lap times, that you lose just under a lap, really, by a pit stop. There's Martin Rupp, still leading the way. 12.8 seconds to the good at the moment as he comes over the brow turn 4. He's got quite a bit of traffic ahead of him, in fact, up the road as these stops are cycling through. And Martin Rupp then well clear up front at the moment. Estonian driver leading Mitch Gilbert by, as I said, nearly 13 seconds. And with Rick Yoon not being as quick as Rupp, he will stay out as long as possible. This car badly damaged on its way round to the grid in Shanghai, so missed the 2 races there, but it's been put back to its immaculate best. And Martin Rupp revelling in these conditions. He's becoming a real wet weather maestro, isn't he, now, by reputation, because the way that he's gone in this stint is just fabulous. It's been so impressive. Comes now up towards the timing line. It's another lap done for the driver from last year's Audi R8 LMS Cup. He came from karting through Formula Renault. He was the runner-up in the NEC 1.6 Championship a few seasons ago. He's raced in the Toyota Racing Series in New Zealand in the winter months. He was 2 years ago the Formula Masters China champion. So he knows the culture over here, he knows the weather, and he knows how to deliver in a GT car as well with his Audi R8 experience from the One Make Championship as well as GT3 series now. There is the Alex Young, Frankie Cheng battle, which is back together again. Heimgartner having got up and past the pair of them, pulling away, but Young is under attack again from Frankie Cheng here. Through they come together with the halfway point almost reached now. So we've got number 5 in the hands of Marchi Lee, and at the end of the next lap we'll see a flying lap time from him, as there is the Christopher Dryspring Lamborghini coming out of the pits. The rain continues to fall, the track continues to be treacherous, and as there you've got Alex Young ahead of Frankie Cheng. This fight for 6th place rages on. Heimgartner then up to 5th, a really good effort this, having started 10th on the grid. And number 18, Martin Rump, the race leader now by nearly 14 seconds over Mitch Gilbert. But Rick Yoon, in fairness, really is going to have a tall order to match that in the second stint, and he's going to go up against some of the pro drivers. So this car might be thinking of a Pro-Am win in the race rather than an overall category win, but Martin Rump has absolutely stood out, hasn't he, in this opening stint? A stellar effort. Is he in this time? Let's see. Now I think he's going to do at least one more lap. Twitches the car through turn 16, powers up now over the timing line. Through goes Martin Rump on his own in terms of opposition, because he's driven away from Mitch Gilbert, who is nowhere to be found behind him. There is Christopher Dryspring ahead of Maxi Boot. Now one is on a different lap from the other because Dryspring is in his, or in the second stint of the race. That car's pitted. Maxi Boot has yet to, but comes in now to give way to Hunter Abbott. So now the championship becomes ever more interesting. 999 is about to go to Abbott. Number 5's already changed to Marchi Lee. Now we'll get an idea of position and pace of those two cars. In his 999. The tall frame of Hunter Abbott will replace the much shorter frame of Maxi Book in that car. Also in is Andrew Harrianto, who goes solo, so he has to get out of the car, stand behind the white line for 5 seconds, and then get back in. His pit stop's 102 seconds. It's longer because it's a solo driver. So, more and more stops cycle through. Grip Rams brought the other car in for George Shimkowiak to morph into Tim Sugden now. And 28 minutes and counting of this final round of Blancpain GT Series Asia. Still the leading 3 Audis with the faster co-drivers not coming to the pit lane as yet. Look through the spray, who do we find? Alex Young versus Frankie Cheng still here for 6th. Cheng hustling on the KCMG car with Absolute Racing helping to run it. That car now on the tail once again of Alex Young. There's the leader, Martin Rump. Is he in this time? No. Stays to the racing side of the white line. So he's going to run this as tight to the end of the pit window as he possibly can. The team keeping him out there for as long as is possible. Now the 999 Mercedes blasts away. So Hunter Abbott goes into the race. As you look at the Alex Young, Frankie Cheng Audi still running nose to tail and still with traffic up the road ahead of them. Into the pit lane has just come Picariello then from 3rd place, but what we need to see at the end of this lap is where Marchi Lee is relative to Hunter Abbott. There is Marchi Lee as you see Picariello arrive for the J-Fly with Absolute Racing Team. And Jeffrey Lee will take that car over. So Rump leading, Mitch Gilbert staying out for 2nd. In has just come Young, in has just come Cheng. Heimgartner is in as well, by the way, to give the car over to there at the front of the shot, Devon Bodell. In the background, Cheng arrives, and for Phoenix at pit out, Alex Young will now give way to Alex Au in the Capital Edge back car. You've got Melvin Moe in, so more and more of them are coming into the pit lane now. Eric Lowe, the GT4 class leader, is in as well. There's Melvin Moe coming down the pit lane in the 3rd Phoenix Audi. It's not really being able to help number 5 too much at the moment, but we'll see what pans out in the 2nd stint of the race. So Mitch Gilbert doing a long 1st stint. So also is, of course, the race leader Martin Rump. Waiting to see if they will come in at the end of this lap. There is the race leading car. 18, Martin Rump. He has absolutely dominated this first stint, and it has been a hugely impressive drive because he's been up against some real stars with good reputations. And as Martin Rump comes into the pit lane this time, what a stint he has done. Certainly A for effort there. Stellar job by Martin Rump, and the team ready to receive the Federal Mogul, the champion car, as it comes in. Stops on his marks, and now Rick Yoon has this pretty unenviable job of trying to maintain that car's overall and class lead for another 25 minutes or so. Brilliant job by Rump. In comes Mitch Gilbert then. Now remember, he will have to serve an extra 10 seconds. Aditya Patel will take that car over, but he gets this 10-second success penalty in the pits. One of the Caymans there having to be pushed backwards. That was the class leading car. Eric Lowe was the start driver, and it's now Byron Tong who takes it over. That car will rejoin the race, but just a little bit of time lost in reversing out of its pit box. There is number 5, through on the inside of 888. So Marchi Lee goes ahead of Tim Sugden. Tim's ideal, I think, was to try and keep that car behind and help 999, but to no avail, because just like yesterday, Marchi Lee on a mission goes ahead of the Mercedes. So that car up now into 11th. It's still out of the point, and it's still behind 999 by my current reckoning. So Marchi Lee has got work to do here, but the time lost in that opening stint could really prove to be the main handicap. There is the Gilbert Patel Audi. So the OD Racing Audi in new colours for this weekend, the blue and red, as Martin Rump watches the car drive down the pit lane now with Rick Yoon at the wheel of it. That will maintain its advantage over this car, of course, because it was a big gap anyway. Never mind the 10 seconds that's got to be made up. But I think Patel will be able to catch Rick Yoon, with all due deference to Rick, who's a quick amp, the banker. He's not in the same league as Martin Rump. He's been in the Audi R8 LMS Cup on and off over the last couple of seasons. Only began racing in 2015 in the Ferrari Challenge Asia Pacific, the South Korean driver. Away goes Aditya Patel there. Where's that car going to blend back in? At the end of this next lap, we'll have a better idea of the new race order. So Rick Yoon then maintains the advantage. There is Aditya Patel. Is he back on track ahead of the number 7 Audi of Jeffrey Lee is the question. So in a moment, we'll try and piece all this together as the cars drop down towards turn 6. There is Aditya Patel into the 86 Audi and onto a wet road then, trying to assess the conditions. He is just ahead of now Devon Modell, who is up into 3rd. 4th is Jeffrey Lee, so the Porsche is the one on a mission at the moment, and 5th is where you find Hunter Abbott. There is Alex Au going ahead, or staying ahead of Christopher Dryspring for 6th. Dryspring is 7th in the Lamborghini. In 8th place now, it should be the number 13 out in the blue Frankie Cheng car given over to Jingzhou Sun. And then 9th, you've got Marchi Lee back on the inside. Dryspring goes ahead, takes the place back again from Alex Au. So Christopher Dryspring back up into 6th place. But significantly at the moment, 9th is Marchi Lee and 5th is Hunter Abbott. So Marchi Lee has got a lot of work to do. Over the timing line has just gone Rick Yoon, keeping the race lead in number 18 there by, at the moment, a massive margin. I'll tell you what the gap is when somebody else crosses the timing line for 2nd spot. Martin Rump has done him proud in the opening stint. There's Christopher Dryspring keeping at bay now. Alex Au having retaken the place and pulling away. The GT4 Porsches come through. 77 Frank Yu under attack from Tony Fong. Frank Yu could afford to let him go. As long as they finish, they're going to win the class in the championship. Right, it is Aditya Patel 2nd, and 27.3 seconds is the margin 1st to 2nd, with 3rd being Devon Modell. There is Frank Yu, champion-elect in GT4 number 77, hanging on at the moment to what is 3rd place in the class, ahead of Tony Fong. Jeffrey Lee running 4th. 5th is Hunter Abbott. 6th is Christopher Dryspring. 7th is Alex Au. And then in 8th place, you've got Jingzhou Sun. 9th, it is Marchi Lee. And 10th now is Tim Sugden. There through the traffic goes Aditya Patel up on the inside. So 27.3 seconds is what he's going to try and make up, but he is flying. He's taken 2.5 seconds out in the first sector alone as he gets up past Frank Yu, who lets him go. Aditya Patel was given a bit of a hard time by Mitch Gilbert in Shanghai for having to spin in the wet. It's been probably wetter here over the weekend than it was there, but he didn't put a wheel wrong yesterday. And now, can he excel again in these conditions and get himself up into the lead of the race? Now, talked about Hunter Abbott relative to Marchie Lee. Let's just quickly recap as you see Devon Modell there running in third place, where we stand for the championship at the moment. Patel second. If he stays there, that's 153 points. Hunter Abbott fifth, 159 points, and Marchie Lee ninth, 152. So that would be Abbott to win the championship, Gilbert Patel second, and then Lee and Tong third, if things stay as they are. And that's a big if in Blancpain GT Series Asia. Rick Yoon leads the way, but he's being caught sector by sector by a hard-charging Aditya Patel. So if Patel got the lead of the race and Hunter Abbott stayed fifth, they'd win the championship by 1 point. So Gilbert and Patel got to get on with this. Let's hear from Mitch Gilbert, because he's given over that car to Aditya Patel. I'm pretty sure he will be doing the number crunching as well. You can see the gap coming down between his car and Rick Yoon in the lead. And Mitch Gilbert is in the pit lane, ready to have a word with Renai.
Yes, I'm with Martin Wright, race leading. That was an incredible move at the start. Come on, talk to me about this.
Yeah, it was a very good stint. Absolutely mega car from the engineer. He just made something magical happen, and as soon as I approached the first corner, I felt the confidence in the car, and I just started to push as hell. And you know, Mitch did a mistake in the first corner, so I took advantage of that, and then I had the free track ahead of me, and I just tried to adapt as fast as possible. It's very, very slippery out there, so I'm just fingers crossed for my teammate right now.
And slippery out there and slippery in the pit lane too, no?
Oh yes, I was struggling to actually stop in the pit box. Like, I started to brake early, but you know, it's so slippery, so it's actually very demanding for the car, for the driver. So let's see who can bring it home first.
All the best. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Apologies, Martin Rum is the driver that Renai has found, and Mitch Gilbert perhaps a little bit preoccupied watching all the data to keep tabs on where we are in the race. So let's see there, Rick Yoon, that last lap was a 48.6, which is nearly 3 seconds slower than what Aditya Patel was doing a lap before. There is champion-elect then, Hunter Abbott. He's lapping in the 44s. The other danger in all of this could turn out to be Devon Modell, who's doing a very good job running in third place at the same kind of pace, if not quicker, than Aditya Patel. But let's see what the next lap is. The gap is then down to 20.2 seconds. So we've done 22 laps, and it is 20.2 seconds between Rick Yoon and Aditya Patel. And then fractionally quicker again is Devon Modell running in third place. Fourth there is Hunter Abbott. Fifth is Jeffrey Lee. Sixth is Christopher Dryspring in the Lamborghini of Sandy Stuvik. Seventh is Alex Au in for Alex Yoon. Eighth is Marchie Lee. So he's gained a place, in other words, ahead of Frankie Cheng. Eighth gives him 154, but it's still going to be 159 for Hunter Abbott if things stay as they are. So number 5 Audi has got a lot more work to do here. Championship's ebbing away. But if Aditya Patel wins the race, then things change again, and that is his mission now. He's got to make up 20 seconds in just under 18 minutes, and he's taken 1.3 seconds out in the first sector alone. This could be on. This could be a championship to be won by Aditya Patel after a hero's drive here, because he is absolutely charging. He's taking Devon Modell with him, and if Modell gets up past the Audi, then again, it's all bets off. But for now, with Patel ahead, and that's what he's got to do, stay ahead of the Porsche, this could turn out to be an absolutely crucial drive. It could be the drive of the season if it nets the championship for him and Mitch Gilbert. They came into the weekend a long way back, something like 28 points back, but a good win yesterday has hauled them back into contention. There is Devon Modell carrying on the good work of Andre Heimgartner, and the Porsche seems to like these conditions, a bit like we saw in Shanghai. Devon Modell, much underrated British driver. He's racing all sorts of random categories, and as he comes now through, the car heads over the timing line with the margin and the lap time there being, let's see, that was a 1:47. He's dropped away a bit from Patel that time. So Hunter Abbott now running in 4th place. That's therefore a place gain, and that would be enough to give him the title by 1 point, even if the Audi were to win the championship. Replay here of an effort being made. Jeffrey Lee losing out to Andrew Harrianto. And all up the curve goes Christopher Dryspring. So, back to the maths. At the moment, if Patel stays second and Hunter Abbott loses a place, then it would go the way of the Audi drivers. But for the time being, 86, even if it gets the race lead, that would have 160, 161 for Hunter Abbott. So Aditya Patel has to keep on pushing and try and win. But the way that Christopher Dryspring is going, could he come up and attack Hunter Abbott even? And where is Marchi Lee in all of this? He's up to 7th, so he is getting on with the job, Marchi Lee. In fairness, 156 points that would now give him. So the one to watch now, in addition to Patel catching Rick Yoon, because that's gone from 20 seconds to 17.5, is going to be Christopher Dryspring catching Hunter Abbott. Last time, though, the gap had gone up a little bit because the Mercedes in a 46.2, the Lamborghini going up the curves in a 47.0. So Aditya Patel is catching Rick Yoon at a great rate of knots for the race lead. Let's focus for a moment on the cars coming down towards turn 13, because their number 7, Jeffrey Lee, is about to lose another place to Marchi Lee, and that is number 13 off the road. Jingzu Sun is off, and if that car can't get going, we could end up with a safety car, and then things might change. But he does hook reverse gear, gets back onto the road. Now please find a forward gear, and he does, and he gets going out of harm's way. The Milestone Racing Audi sets off again. So the race leading gap is down to 13 seconds now. Patel 13.3 seconds behind Rick Yoon. Devon Modell is third and dropping back a little. In fourth, it's Hunter Abbott, who is 7 seconds clear of Christopher Dryspring. But up into sixth is Marchi Lee. Sixth would be 158 points, 161. Still not enough, but he's going the right way about it here as he tries to battle on. There is Marchi Lee, who is throwing everything at this. His next target is Christopher Dryspring. So if he can get up to the Lamborghini, well, that's a tall order. That's 11 seconds up the road now, and then a further 7 up the road is Hunter Abbott. A safety car now would really help number 5 Audi. Any more Audis that could be sacrificed from Phoenix? Number 16 doesn't score points, does it? Their third car for the weekend, the Melvin Moe entry, which has now got behind the wheel of it for the final stint, Lim Kyong Wee. But number 5, Marchi Lee, pushing. Let's see what he's doing in sectors at the moment. He is quicker than Christopher Dryspring, but only by 4/10. He's got, I fear, too much ground to make up. So Dryspring dropping away a little last lap, but 1 from Hunter Abbott, and then closing last time through. So that's ebbing and flowing as Rick Yoon hangs on to the race lead. 13.5 minutes to go, but Aditya Patel 20 seconds, then 17, then 13, then 11 seconds back. Patel surely is on for the race win here, given the way that he's going, because he's hacking away at the margin to Rick Yoon. Devon Modell is in third place, 3.5 seconds back from Patel. Hunter Abbott 4th, and then what are his laps like? 45. Christopher Dryspring has dropped back a little bit, and then you've got Marchi Lee next to come over the line. Leader spins, round goes Rick Yoon. The race leader has spun. Is he going to be able to rejoin? He was going to lose the lead probably on time anyway, but that's not going to help at all. And there, into the lead of the race goes Aditya Patel. So after Martin Rump's good work, Rick Yoon has a spin. Aditya Patel takes over the race lead. And there for second and third, you've now got Rick Yoon just ahead of Devon Modell. And could Hunter Abbott even gain out of all of this? There is the new race leader, Aditya Patel. Works his way down through the dipper at turns 10, 11 and 12. Rick Yoon down to second and under attack. And this, he did it all on his own. He just accelerated a little bit too much on a very wet road. Round it went. Had to find a gear, rejoin. And so Rick Yoon is down in second. It could be lower than that when we next see them, because Devon Modell was right behind him in the Porsche. Patel leads the way. Is it Porsche headlights or Audi headlights in second spot? Let's find out as we look into the background. It is the Audi just ahead in second place as Patel leads. Let's catch up with things in GT4. Ringo Chong is in the pit lane. Let's hear from him.
Ringo Chong, just fresh out of your stint, what's it like out there?
It was very slippery. We couldn't really see nothing after the rain came down. It was very bad, but I took it easy. I was just following Eric, the guy that was leading in the class, and then I was just turning on my air conditioning and then just sliding around and just enjoying myself. It's the last race of the year. I want to hand the car down to give it to Eric Chang, and he's leading the race now. Just pray and hopefully everything goes well and we finish P1.
Bring that baby home. All the best today. Thank you very much.
A great character, Ringo Chong. He has been ever smiling all season in Blancpain GT Series, Asia. And whenever he's in the post-race press conference, you know it's always going to be full of laughter. He's just got this sort of infectious personality that rubs off on everybody. It's always great fun. And a class win would be a great way for him to round out the season. So confirmation, then there is the race leader, Aditya Patel. So that car now would have 160 points if the results stay as they are. But Hunter Abbott, fourth, will have 161. Hunter Abbott is still looking the slightly stronger option for the championship, although Christopher Dryspring is doing his best to get onto terms. He is 7 seconds back, and then it's Marchi Lee running in 6th place. Not enough to give that car the championship, so for the moment, by a point, Hunter Abbott would do it. And there's nothing else that OD Racing can do to influence all of this. Aditya Patel leads the race. You can't do much more than that. There are no points for the fastest lap, for example. So what they have to hope is that something goes wrong for Hunter Abbott and he loses a place. But for the moment, Aditya Patel and Mitch Gilbert lead the race. Patel was bringing down the gap to Rick Yoon anyway, but that spin really was the catalyst for the lead changing. Over the timing line has just gone the Audi. Now there is Devon Modell in 2nd place. Another great effort this by both him and Andre Heimgartner. And Devon Modell goes through with the gap being 6 seconds. He's lapping quicker than the race leader now. So can the gap come down before the very end to give Devon Modell a chance to challenge? He's had already 2 second places in Blancpain GT Series Asia this season. So the young Brit, who, as I was saying earlier on, has raced in all sorts of random categories, came out of karting through the UK Clio Cup. He's driven for the Cheshire-based Speedworks team in the 24-hour series. He's raced in Blancpain Endurance. He's raced in Asian Le Mans, in the UK LMP3 Cup, V2V, Fun Cup, Lamborghini Middle East, you name it. Devon seems to have been there. Aditya Patel looked on from the pit bunker by Mitch Gilbert, you saw a moment ago. Mitch watching the action. And Aditya Patel, the Indian driver, former Polo champion. They've had 2 wins, these two this year. He's raced in the Audi R8 Cup, but an experienced driver, both in Europe as well, because he's had a spell in ADAC GT Masters and in the 24 hours at the Nürburgring. Aditya Patel has really come of age this season. It's been a very impressive season for him, with Mitch Gilbert, the Malaysian-born Australian, helping him. The Absolute Racing OD team, formed in 2014 to do the Asian Le Mans and the Asian GT Series. This car looking as though it might have a 3rd race win. We have not yet, I think I'm right in saying all season, had anybody win both races. He says that hesitantly, but it could happen here, but even that might not be enough to give them the championship. Everywhere we have had a different combination across the 2 races. That might change here in the final weekend, but a bittersweet result it could be, with a 3rd win, a 2nd of the weekend, but not the championship for Patel and Gilbert if things stay as they are. We've got 8 minutes of the season to go as you look at 89, which is now the class-leading GT4 Porsche, with Kan Zhang at the wheel of it, having taken over from Ringo Chong. So there it is, 89 looking for a class win. As far as GT4 has been concerned this year, we've had another good spread of winners, but I'm not convinced Ringo Chong has actually had a class win. I don't think he has, so that would be a great way to round out the season for him as well. Champion-elect Hunter Abbott is being caught a little by Christopher Dryspring, but it's not coming down by much. So Hunter Abbott doing what he needs to do here, just keep off the curb, keep away from the puddles, bring the car home, and the championship is there. Grupperam has won the teams. Hunter Abbott's already won Pro-Am, and so the overall championship beckons for him here. Along that short straight, he comes towards turn 7. It's all a bit tense, no doubt, at the Grupperam garage as they look on for this, because Hunter Abbott tiptoes round. Aditya Patel leading by 5 seconds from Devon Modell. Although the gap came down last time, it still looks pretty large, given only 7 minutes of the race to go. Abbott's last lap was a 45.9. Dryspring behind him was a 45.5. He's got to make up 6.4 seconds, and Marchi Lee running in 6th. Again, is another one, I think, out of the equation. It's just a bit too far back now. Tim Sugden's up to 8th, by the way. He's got himself ahead of Jeffrey Lee, so Mercedes goes ahead of Audi lower down the order. Leading in the AMs at the moment, it is James Kai's Aston Martin. There it is, in fact, going through the gloom on the inside line, and that will be enough to give them the AM Cup in the championship. So the AM champions, provisionally, will be James Kai and Kenneth Lim. Thereafter, the spin is number 13, so Frankie Cheng's good work undone, I'm afraid. Jingzhu Zun down in now 13th place in number 13 Audi. So that car drops over the brow, turn 5. Martin Rump, having done the fastest lap of the race, watches his car still hang on to 3rd place. Now, could Hunter Abbott change things more by gaining another place? He is lapping quicker than Rick Yoon. The gap's coming down 3rd to 4th, but Dryspring has just done a personal best lap as well, so that means that he is now closer to Hunter Abbott. But we are largely talking fractions of seconds, not full seconds here, so still a pretty tense fight in terms of the gaps that we've got going on within the leading 6. Marchie Lee lapping slower last time than Christopher Dryspring, so it looks like number 5 Audi is going to have to give up the championship battle right at the very end. Hunter Abbott still in the box seat. Downhill comes Jingzhu Sun, who is running in 13th spot, and there behind is the race leader trying to put a lap on him. So Aditya Patel having to cope with the traffic and a spin, number 16 that is, that's gone off the road. It'll rejoin the Phoenix car of Lim Kyung Wee, but losing ground as a consequence. Into the final 5 minutes of the season now. Down towards turn 16 comes Aditya Patel, race leader. AM champions-elect up the road ahead, James Kai and Kenneth Lim. And there is Patel coming towards the timing line now. The gap was 5 seconds last lap between him and Devon Modell. The Audi leading the way. Devon Modell runs second as he comes up towards the line. The gap is down by half a second. Devon Modell still charging as they have to cope with the traffic as well here, of course. In 3rd place still is Rick Yoon. But if Hunter Abbott gains another place, then that pushes it beyond reach for anybody else. Into turn 1 goes Rick Yoon. His last lap was a 47.5. Hunter Abbott a 45.1. So it's 4 seconds now between 3rd and 4th places. Hunter Abbott, even though he's pretty much assured, if things stay as they are, he wants to gain another place and make sure that it's beyond reach for anybody else, this championship. Everybody has worked so hard in the championship this year. There's been a lot of travelling, a lot of new circuits for many drivers and teams to have to gain data on, and certainly challenging weather conditions as well. But what a way to round out the season. It is so tense up and down the pit lane at the moment. Everybody's studying the points charts, the timing screen, looking at gaps, looking at lap times, and of course the weather could not have been nastier, could it, to round out the season. 3 3/4 minutes remain. Race leader now being impeded a little bit in the traffic, not deliberately, but just encountering a slower car at the wrong point of the lap. So Aditya Patel's advantage will come down over Devon Modell. 4.5 seconds it was up the inside of the Aston into turn 13. Through he goes, job done. Another back marker then between himself and the race rival Devon Modell as the cars now sprint again towards the right-hander of turn 14. Down towards turn 16 is Aditya Patel, but 999 Mercedes is still on for the championship. Hunter Abbott 4th, this car leading. That would give Hunter the crown by 1 point. So he was 1 point behind a different Audi coming into this race. He'll be 1 point ahead of 86 Audi come the end of the race, if things stay as they are. 2 3/4 minutes to go. Mitch Gilbert looks nervous, understandably. He can do no more in all of this. All he can do is hope that Hunter Abbott loses a place, but so close. A good drive by Aditya Patel to put the car into the lead, but OD Racing can do no more. They had a couple of retirements this year, which is really what's cost them. It's not a case of losing the championship in this last race. It was perhaps the puncture at Suzuka, you could argue, that did for them, but here the car presses on. Aditya Patel looking for win number 3 of the season. I think I'm right in saying that would give them the same number of wins as Hunter Abbott, because he's had 2 with Maxi Buch and 1 with Max Gertz over the course of the season. But it's not going to be a tie-break situation because they're going to lose out by 1 point unless something befalls Hunter Abbott. Down through turn 12 comes Aditya Patel. and he will start the last lap this time around. There is now less than a lap time left in the race. So this is the penultimate lap down towards the hairpin. There is Devon Modell in second spot, the gap 4.3 seconds. It had come down to last time. There is the AM champion-elect. James Kye and Kenneth Lim lead the class, and if they win the class in the race, then they are the champions. There's number 7, Audi, which has dropped to 10th place. Jeffrey Lee about to go a lap down to Aditya Patel, who comes now up to the start of the last lap of the season. He goes through. Over the timing line goes Patel then. One more lap to run. Devon Modell is 3.5 seconds behind him, pushing to the very end. In third place, Rit Yoon has almost been caught by Hunter Abbott on the last lap of the race. We've got 8 tenths between third and fourth. If Hunter Abbott gains another place, that pushes the title beyond reach, so it's worth him doing it just in case. But the flip side is he doesn't want to make a mistake while trying for that position. There's the race leader. Aditya Patel comes then down towards turn 6. Devon Modell is reeling him in though now. That gap looking less again. The Porsche is absolutely flying. And then as the cars come towards turn 6, there's debris on the road there, look, coming out of turn 6. But for third and fourth places, Rit Yoon has got Hunter Abbott bearing down on him. There is the champion-elect Hunter Abbott. Look, just up the road ahead. Rit Yoon, with the lights being flashed at him by the Mercedes, hangs onto the place, through the spray, through the gloom, through the murk they go. Hunter Abbott for Group M Racing then, who's had an amazing season in this championship, comes through looking as though the championship is going to be his. Aditya Patel will take the race win. That will give him 160 points with Mitch Gilbert. Hunter Abbott runs 4th. That will give him 161 points. Marchie Lee runs 6th. That gives them 158. So it drops them from 1st to 3rd in the championship. And so near and yet so far. Bittersweet race. It's going to be a 3rd win. And off the road on the very last lap has gone number 10 Porsche that was running 2nd in GT4. That's Byron Tong off the road. We'll come to him in a moment because here, look, is the race winner at turn 16. For Mitch Gilbert, Aditya Patel comes across the timing line to win the final race in the Blancpain GT Series Asia 2017. Second, Devon Modell, 2.5 seconds behind him. Who is going to be third? It's Rit Yoon, who will come into turn 16 ahead of 999 Hunter Abbott, who is about to be the first Blancpain GT Series Asia champion as he comes across the line. Hunter Abbott 4th is enough to win the championship then. There's a lot of applause on the pit wall at Group M. There's a lot of damage on the road and debris on the road down at turn 1, suggesting that is where Byron Tong's Porsche has come to grief. There's confirmation in the background, the Porsche off the road. Well done, Hunter Abbott then. Blancpain GT Series Asia champion as the car comes on its slowing down lap through turn 3. Well done, that man, Hunter Abbott, who is the AM in the Pro-Am combination. He's had some great co-drivers with him all season. Maxi Buch has done the bulk of the driving with him, but Maxi Gertsen at the start of the season, Raffaele Marciello as well. And now they are all celebrating. The sister car is not yet home, but Tim Sugden now comes across the line in Triple Eight, and Tim can take some credit in Hunter's championship because it was Tim that had to put the team together over the winter months, bringing together the good engineers from Asia, from Europe, and putting together this squad. John Waterman, I can see in the pit lane celebrating, who works on WSR BMWs in the British Touring Car Championship and then comes to work for Group M on his other weekends in Blancpain GT Series Asia. And it's a very good way to end the season. So Aditya Patel and Mitch Gilbert, you have to feel some sympathy for. A great race win, and the only drivers to have done the double, in other words, both races in the weekend all season in GT3, but it's not enough. It ends up being 1 point they missed out by. So near and yet so far. What a way to end the championship. It's given great racing and great drama all through the season, and it didn't really finish until we got to the checkered flag, did it, with that last lap incident for poor Byron Tong, who was running 2nd at the time in GT4, going off the road. So the cars come to Parc Fermé. We'll hear from winners, we'll hear from champions, we'll have a look at the highlights, we'll have the podium to come as well. But first of all, it's a race win for Aditya Patel, possibly the drive of his life, that, and Mitch Gilbert behind Devon Modell and Andre Heimgartner. A brilliant job done by both as well to take 2nd place. 3rd, Rit Yoon and Martin Rump. And as the two celebrate a race win, missed out on the championship by 1 point, but what a great way to end the season. Pirelli hat on for Mitch Gilbert. And another very good job done by Aditya Patel. The team comes over to congratulate them. Hunter Abbott is there in the background, arriving as the GT3 champion. Just to confirm, GT4's champions, Jean-Marc Merlin and Frank Yu finishing second in the race. That's enough to give them the championship. So as the cars head down the pit lane, just to confirm, Aditya Patel and Mitch Gilbert the winners by 2.5 seconds from Devon Modell and Andre Heimgartner third, Rick Yoon and Martin Rump. In fairness to Rick Yoon, I know he had that spin, but he hung on to third under the pressure from Hunter Abbott, so well done Rick Yoon, because it could have been easy after one spin to have made more mistakes, but he didn't. He managed to hang on and take third. So Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel are the race winners. They've missed out on the championship, but let's hear from them in Parc Fermé.
Fresh off the track, congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Well, what can I say? It was the toughest race I've driven in terms of conditions, and I kept radioing the guys at the team, when's this going to end, when's this going to end? Because I didn't want to up my pace anymore. It was just easy to make mistakes. I think there were many guys making mistakes. It was really, really hard. Just wanted to bring the car home in one piece. And here we are. Mitch did a super job in the first stint, kept the car on the track. I think that was the most important, kept our place, made a gap, and then I guess the rest is history.
Okay, bringing it home, safe and sound. I mean, a double win this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like we knew we were the outsiders of the championship, so after yesterday we went, look, we're going to be the first guys to double win, and who'd have thought, you know, it's probably one of the hardest things to do, and I heard we lost the championship by 1 point, which is absolutely gutting, but you know, what a year, and I want to do it all over again.
Oh, incredible. Congratulations again. Thank you very much.
Well, indeed, missing out by a point is gutting. Mitch Gilbert's absolutely right, but gave it his best shot, didn't he? And I was saying during the course of the race, that's probably the drive of Aditya Patel's life. He rather backs that up, saying it's certainly the toughest race he's ever done. So we very shortly will have the winning drivers making their way to the podium. And for Hunter Abbott, the champion, he'll be there as well. What a fabulous season it has been. We've had some pretty mixed weather conditions, from the heat and humidity of Sepang to the mixed conditions of elsewhere, and rain in China to round out the season, but it's given us plenty of drama. We'll try and grab some more of the drivers, not just GT3, but GT4 as well, as the end of the first ever season of Blancpain GT Series Asia comes to an end, and what a season it has been. The drivers, the champions, now have the opportunity to go and join all the other SRO champions from the European championships that SRO runs in Paris in the third weekend of November, where the SRO Awards takes place in the 25th anniversary of SRO organising motorsporting events. There's a big gala dinner as well after the prize giving in the afternoon in Paris in November. So one hopes Hunter Abbott will be there among other champions. Second place in the race, though, to Andre Heimgartner and Devon Modell. Great job by both.
With the second place winners, how are you feeling after that?
Oh, it was great. It was a hard race. Had no idea where we were in the race. Yes, it was very difficult out there, the conditions, and yeah, compared to yesterday, the car was so much better that we could go and have a good result today.
Really difficult conditions. The first time you guys are racing together, your first time at this track. Your thoughts?
No, it was good. As on that first lap there, got held up with someone spinning, and we went almost back to last. So it was a bit of a fight back. Had to pass lots of cars. Definitely sick of passing cars, but it was good fun. The car was a lot better than yesterday, obviously, and we're able to have something to fight with. So it's a credit to Bamboo Racing, obviously Devon for a great job at the end, and yeah, looking forward to holding trophy.
Enjoy that. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
So Andre Heimgartner then comes from, of course, his exploits in Australia, where he's currently second in Carrera Cup Australia, where he was ninth in the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 a week ago. And let's hope we see more of him racing in GT cars, not just in Asia, but in Europe as well, because he certainly proved to be a real gun this weekend. Devon Modell having a second of the season. Again, so near and yet so far from the race win. We'll get the drivers up to the podium, as I say, very shortly. Hunter Abbott confirmed as the 2017 champion. He's already won the Pro-Am championship. The AM champions win the class, James Kye and Kenneth Lim, and Jean-Marc Merlin and Frank Yu taking GT4. Let's hear then from our champions, back to Renai in a wet pit lane.
Here we are with the series winners, the champions. Hunter, how does that feel, bringing that car home?
It feels amazing. During the race, I was trying to just focus on, hit my braking points, etc. And then when the checkered flag came, I couldn't quite believe it. So I couldn't actually thank the team on the radio because I was starting to blubber on the way around on the in lap. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Group M, Alga Sense, Star Sensors. Everybody's been on board and supported us. And, of course, Maxi for being amazing. Yeah.
It's totally fine. You can cry. It's just rain.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy for Hunter that he could secure the championship now in the last race. It was a bit of a nail-biting weekend for us because the rain is not really helping us in that situation. But I'm really happy for him to win the championship, and yeah.
Congratulations. It's been such a great season for you. Enjoy that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Hunter Abbott it is who wins the Blancpain GT Series Asia title. Maxi Book, because of his commitments in Europe, hasn't been able to do every round. And you could argue in a sense that although he has been brilliant for Hunter when he's been together, it's been tougher for Hunter to win because he's had to go through different co-drivers and adapt to other people's ways of doing things. Raffaele Marciello came for a race, Maxi Goetz came for a race, Maxi Book has done the bulk. But Hunter Abbott certainly hasn't let that faze him and has just got on with the job. And yes, he's been helped by having good co-drivers, undoubtedly, but I suspect he will admit that he's developed as a driver as well. The Blancpain GT Series Asia website will have all the reaction post-race. We'll have the press conference for the drivers, of course, later on as well, and their quotes will be offered after that. Aditya Patel and Mitch Gilbert, the race winners, ahead of Devon Modell and Andre Heimgartner. Rick Yoon and Martin Rump taking third place, ahead of Hunter Abbott, Maxi Book. Christopher Dryspring, first time in the championship, fifth with Sandy Stuvik, and then Marchi Lee and Sean Tong ending up in sixth place, therefore having to give up the championship lead. And what Andre Heimgartner was saying about being delayed by a car nearly spinning ahead of him, it could well have been number 5 Audi that was that car because we saw it drop down early on. Let's have a look at the highlights then of this final round of the championship season. A very wet track for teams, a safety car start, and when they went racing, Mitch Gilbert from pole led as far as turn 1, then discovered there just was not enough grip, and he slithered out wide, giving an early race lead to Martin Rump, who was absolutely inspired from then on, charging away to do the fastest lap of the race and build up a gap that he would maintain all the way to the pit stops. Behind it was Gilbert running in second place and everybody else having to cope with the spray. Alessio Picariello slotting him in third place ahead of Frankie Cheng, who was soon under attack from Maxi Book, who dived up the inside coming out of turn 1, and he made the move stick to put the Mercedes one place up the order. Car 5 of Sean Tonga lost out at the start, so too had Andre Heimgartner. The two got themselves together, and Heimgartner went through to gain track position on the inside, and he would do a huge amount of overtaking in his first stint of the race. Next target, Melvin Moe, sister Phoenix Audi, tick, through on the inside, job done. The Porsche kept on pushing, so too did the number 6 Audi, Alex Young getting himself up past Frankie Cheng, then along came Heimgartner, through he went, another place gained. The Porsche climbing up the order all the time. As the pit window opened, Heimgartner gave way to Devon Modell, Alex Young came in for Alex Au, and Rick Yoon took over from Martin Rump in the car that leads the race. Aditya Patel took over in 86. But Rick Yoon was coming under attack, the gap falling until he had this spin. That dropped him down into second position and allowed Aditya Patel to come through on target for a third win of the season, a second of the weekend, their first double victory as a team, the only team to win 2 races in a weekend in GT3, but not enough to win the championship, missing out by 1 point. Hunter Abbott was on target for 4th position, that enough to give him the championship crown in GT3 at the end of the 2017 Blancpain GT Series Asia season. Race win for Aditya Patel and Mitch Gilbert. 4th place and the championship for Hunter Abbott with help from Maxi Book. Mitch Gilbert celebrating as the winning car came across the line. But this, Hunter Abbott, is the first Blancpain GT Series Asia champion. So, a great way for the championship to be concluded with a fabulous race, lots of intrigue, and we look forward to more of the same in 2017. What a year of racing we've had. Some great cars, great tracks, great drivers, and we look forward to more of the same in 2018. The Blancpain GT Series Asia is set to go from strength to strength next season. We look forward to your company for another great season of racing. For now, though, from Zhejiang, bye-bye. We are ready with the podiums here at Zhejiang, and it's going to be the GT3 overall podium that we have first. With the drivers being prepared, the podium is ready, and very shortly, stepping forward, there will be the third place drivers, Rick Yoon and Martin Rump, who did the fastest lap of the race. Second place, yet again, Devon Modell and Andre Heimgartner. A great debut in the championship for Andre, stepping forward for the second step on that podium. And then the top step, the only people to win 2 in a weekend in GT3, Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel. They will make their way to the top step as the chairman of the Zhejiang circuit steps forward to present the trophies. First of all to the South Korean driver, Rick Yoon, and then Martin Rump, the Estonian. Then it's truly international podium. Australian drivers, you've got Andre Heimgartner and Mitch Gilbert. The Brit, Devon Modell, and the Indian driver, Aditya Patel. Devon Modell gets his trophy with Andre Heimgartner for second, and Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel, race winners then in this final round of the Blancpain GT Series Asia for 2017. Benjamin Franosevici is the championship manager. He steps forward to hand over the checks to the season-long entrants. $2,500, $5,000 and $10,000 to the winners. It's a lot of beer to celebrate with tonight for the OD Racing team. So, excellent result for Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel. Stepping forward is Hunter Abbott as the champion. Maxi Bouk, because he hasn't done the same number of races, doesn't take the championship, but he's there with Hunter, and they get champagne to spray as well. These, the stormtroopers of GT3 celebrating on the podium. Race winners on the top step, Aditya Patel and Mitch Gilbert. And the champion, Hunter Abbott, is the first with the champagne. A very happy man indeed. Hunter, who came from karting through Radicals, through Ginetta, through Ascar in the UK, had a spell in British GT in the Porsche GT3 Cup Benelux, and then in the British Touring Car Championship. Now a Blancpain GT Series Asia champion. He's already the Pro-Am champion, but now the overall title holder as well. Mitch Gilbert celebrates another win. Hunter Abbott celebrates with a bottle of champagne. Trophies will come at the prize giving in Paris in November. The trophies are now prepared on the podium, ready for Pro-Am, where Hunter Abbott will return because he was the runner-up in the category. We will have the third place drivers of Alex Au and Alex Young, but a first win, I think I'm right in saying, for Sanghui Rick Yoon and Martin Rump in the GT3 Pro-Am category. So the drivers are called forward, headed by Alex Au and Alex Young. Hunter Abbott and Maxi Bouk will take second in Pro-Am in the race, and the winners in this final race of the year, stepping forward, Rick Yoon and Martin Rump. And Martin Rump deserves a huge cheer, not only for the class win, but for that opening stint, which was just breathtaking. A brilliant drive by Martin Rump, and he deserves every accolade for that. It was just outstanding. So there, Alex Young and Alex Au take third place. Both of them have been seen on occasions in other GT championships, the domestic Chinese series, for example, this year. That's what Martin Rump is racing in later on in the day. But Maxi Bouk, who's raced in every version of Blancpain going, sprint, endurance, you name it, now takes a trophy in Asia as well. Yet another success for him this season. As the class winners, Rick Yoon and Martin Rump, celebrate. And it's a real turnaround in fortunes after the car was so badly damaged by Rick Yoon on the way to the grid even in Shanghai. But here it is a class win for Rick Yoon and Martin Rump, winners in Pro-Am. Diane Hu, the event manager from Blancpain China, having done the trophy presentations. The champagne is sprayed, and then we turn our attention to the GT3 AM celebration, because the drivers for that will be up very shortly indeed. As the drivers make their way up to the podium, let's have a quick look at the results once more, just to confirm that win for Aditya Patel and Mitch Gilbert, ahead of Devon Modell and Andre Heimgartner. Rick Yoon and Martin Rump taking third from Hunter Abbott and Maxi Book. Fifth, Christopher Dreispring and Sandy Stuvik, ahead of Marchi Lee and Sean Tong, vanquished having led into that last race. Seventh, Aidan Reid and Alberto Di Folco, ahead of Alex Au and Alex Young, then Tim Sugden and Jules Shimkowiak from Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello. 11th, the AM winners, we'll see them in a moment, James Kai and Kenneth Lim, ahead of, in 12th place, the Frankie Cheng and Sunju Sun Audi. Then Wee Leong Kim and Melvin Mo 13th, ahead of Zheng and Lin 14th, Andrew Haryanto 15th, and 16th, the GT4 winner, Ringo Chong and Kan Zhang. The Pirelli Wets have worked overtime over the course of the last hour, and the drivers for the AM ceremony are making their way to the podium. Andrew Haryanto, who has raced on his own in the championship all season after Vincent Wang's accident in Lamborghini qualifying in Sepang, takes third, and he's keen to get on with the champagne. Second goes the way of Zheng Ting and Lin Yu, complete with family. And the class win will go the way of the new champions, James Kai and Kenneth Lim. So everybody crowds onto the podium, and Zheng Ting and Lin Yu with the family there to celebrate this. The trophies will be presented in a moment as Matteo Braga, the circuit activities manager of Pirelli, is on hand to hand the trophy to Andrew Haryanto. Comes from a good racing family, of course. Younger brother Rio, former Grand Prix racer. There for second place, the trophies to Zheng Ting and Lin Yu, who were in contention, like Andrew Haryanto, for the title, but in the end it was not to be, because the title is taken by the Aston Martin drivers, James Kai and Kenneth Lim, after an excellent season. The only Aston we've had in GT3, but it's been great to have it on the grid. More welcome variety in terms of the number of brands represented. And victory goes the way of the Aston Martin in the race and in the championship. And perhaps that is the best way of all to win the title. The celebrations on the podium. And for the Aston Martin drivers, a great job done. There's, of course, one more podium still to address. That will be for the GT4 drivers, and the Porsche Caymans have dominated the category. We've had, of course, McLarens on occasion. That's the GT4 series with more and more brands building cars. We know about BMWs, we know about Mercedes, we know about Audis for next season. There are lots more cars that we could see on the grid, and it's set to be even more competitive next year. Zan Kan and Ringo Chong, the class winners. They will be on the podium shortly. And for Ringo Chong, a second class win of the season, I think I'm right in saying, because they were victorious at Suzuka. So now the drivers will step forward, having coped with the awful weather conditions over the course of the race. And now for Jean-Marc Merlin and Frank Yu, the end of a season which has given them the championship. There we have the third place drivers, which are confirmed as being Eric Lowe and Byron Tong. For second place, the new champions, Jean-Marc Merlin and Frank Yu. And then for the top step, it will be the class winners, Zhang Kan and Ringo Chong, who is always a smiley man when he's on the podium. As a class winner, even more so here. And Zhang Kan, in his first year of racing, has done an excellent job. The trophy is presented by Matteo Braga again, from Pirelli, the circuit activities manager, to the third and out to the second. And, of course, to the champions, Jean-Marc Merlin, the Hong Kong-based French driver, joined by Frank Yu on the podium. And there, the top step claimed by the race winners, Zhang Kan and Ringo Chong, who is all smiles, understandably so. Now Benjamin Franosevici hands over the checks to the champions. And our top three drivers all celebrate. They will go shortly to the press conference. But at the end of the final round of the championship, an excellent job has been done by everybody in this year's championship. The first year of an all-new series, Blancpain GT Series Asia, has been a huge success. We look forward to more of the same in 2018. With well done to Hunter Abbott, to Jean-Marc Merlin and Frank Yu as our category champions. We look forward to more great action in 2018. From Renaud Mathieu in the pit lane and David Anderson trackside. Thanks for your company this year. We'll see you next year. Bye-bye.